The Life of Hawk from the Seven Deadly Sins. Hawk is not a hawk, but a talking pig and Meliodas' companion. He's introduced as the custodian of the Boar Hat bar who helps clean up the disgusting food scraps left by customers. He's later revealed to be a pig-like creature from purgatory who was stolen as an infant by the Demon King to spy on Meliodas. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Hawk. Before we begin, we publish a new video pretty much every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all our social media. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Background. Hawk was born in the Purgatory under the name Mild and lived with his older brother, Wild. Before Hawk could remember him, he was kidnapped by the Demon King and sent to the living world to act as his window to spy on his eldest son, Meliodas, through his eyes. 10 years ago, Hawk used to live together peacefully with his mother in an unknown forest until he spotted an unconscious knight, Meliodas, who was lying on the side of the road, and dragged him back to his home, a cave somewhere near Camelot. Once Meliodas was awake, the two ended up speaking with one another, where Hawk mentioned that he felt like he used to fly in the sky, thinking he was a dragon back in his past life, when Meliodas thought he was Wandel. The two argued over Hawk's name until Hawk mentioned a restaurant named Pig Leg where Hawk loved the leftovers, which led Meliodas and Hawk to team up and work together, since Meliodas can't work as a knight anymore due to an incident in Leonis. They decided to open up the bar The Boar Hat, named after the restaurant Hawk mentioned, by selling his sacred treasure and building it on the back of Hawk's mother. Since then, Hawk and Meliodas became partners in business, as Meliodas is the owner while Hawk is the cleaner who eats the leftovers. Introduction arc. Hawk made an appearance when Meliodas orders him to clean up the food scraps on the floor by, eating the scraps. Hawk was complaining about the food quality, but after Meliodas threatened him, he changed his mind about the taste of the food. Moments later, the Rust Knight went in and scared all the customers away, who thought he was one of the seven deadly sins. Moments later, the Rust Knight collapsed. Seeing that under the helm there was actually a woman, Meliodas checked her body and, did the Meliodas thing to confirm she was a woman, and Hawk got mad at him. Upon waking up, Meliodas pretended he was checking her heartbeat, but Hawk understandably scolded him. After they explain where she is now, she asks Meliodas about the sword on his back. Meliodas takes out his sword, but it turns out to only be the hilt and the blade is broken. He explains that he keeps it to scare customers away from dining and dashing. Meliodas offers her food and asks her what she's doing in armor, to which she replies that she's looking for the seven deadly sins. At that moment, knights arrive and demand that the owner get out and bring the Rust Knight with them. Hawk pretends to be the Rust Knight for the woman to get away, but the knights get angry and see the woman running towards the woods and chase her. She's then saved by Hawk and Meliodas, who want to hear the rest of her story, and she continues to explain that she was searching for the seven deadly sins in order to stop the Holy Knights, because a few days ago they started a coup d'etat and took control of the kingdom. Moments later, they were attacked by Twigo, who cuts off the part of the cliff they were standing on, which causes them to plummet. But Meliodas is able to jump back, carrying and saving everyone. Upon learning that the woman is Elizabeth, the princess of the kingdom, and that she is ready to give her life in order for him to not get involved in her problems, Meliodas reveals his names and that he is in fact one of the seven deadly sins. Twigo attacks again and strikes Hawk, which leaves him crying to his mom, who, is pretty big. Later, when Meliodas defeats Twigo, Hawk comes back to get them out of there. Meliodas then tells Elizabeth that she's found the first sin and that he's also looking for the rest of the sins, and he's using the bar to gather information, and if she wants, she can join him, because he needs a serving girl in his bar. She agrees, and they continue to search for the remaining 6. Forest of White Dreams arc. The Boar Hat travels to the Forest of White Dreams in their search for the sins. They hear that a sin was spotted there, and of course they're planning to find them. While there, a white fog comes in, and then suddenly there are many Hawks. Hawk tries to demonstrate who the real Hawk is, but Meliodas just decides to beat all of them up. Later, Elizabeth was cloned, and then there are many more copies of her, but Meliodas orders Elizabeth to do, weird stuff to show who the real Elizabeth is, but Hawk stops him from doing this and tells him to get serious. After finding the real Elizabeth, the clones turn out to be prankster imps who promptly run away. As Meliodas, Hawk, and Elizabeth find them, it turns out that they were trying to hide Deanne, who's one of the sins, by her orders. After Meliodas talks to Deanne for a bit, Deanne agrees to go with them and find the others, and the prankster imps are happy for her to leave. But then, all of a sudden, the sins are trapped in a bolt of lightning by a holy knight, Gilthunder. Hawk tries to break free, but Gilthunder electrocutes Hawk and kicks him, sending him flying. After the sins are set free by their own will, Deanne sends Gilthunder flying. Hawk comes back injured but still alive, and the sins set out on a new town to find the sin of greed. Baste Dungeon arc. After Meliodas fights with Guild Thunder, they travel to Dalmari town to get a doctor for Meliodas. While there, a holy knight by the name of Frisia tries to attack the town with her bugs. Hawk protects Elizabeth the whole time, but Deanne stops the bug's attack and goes after Frisia to stop her. Hawk and Elizabeth go back to the doctor, who says that he can't do anything to save Meliodas and that he's dead. But then another holy knight named Golgius comes in and tries to take Meliodas' sword away. Elizabeth and Hawk try to stop him, but it doesn't help, and when he touches the sword, Meliodas wakes up with a scary look and scares him away. Golgius escapes by jumping out of a window. Hawk finds him by using his nose. The doctor who tried to poison Meliodas tells Golgius that he held up his part of the bargain and wants his daughter back, but Golgius stabs him in the back. Hawk starts running away from him due to his power and hides in an old tower. When inside, Meliodas takes out his swords and makes a circle on the fold. Hawk questions why he did that, and Meliodas responds by saying it's a magic spell to keep out teleporters, but Hawk says that it's silly. After the spell works on Golgius and they see the dying doctor, they head off to Baste Dungeon to free Bon. After Baste Dungeon is destroyed, the Boar Hat and the Sins are having a party at the doctor's house, who turns out to be okay. After Bon introduces himself, he expresses his desire that the four of them get along, but Hawk corrects him and says that there are 5. Bon then realizes that Hawk is able to talk and is shocked, since he thought he was Deanne's food and wondered what the point of a pig that could talk was. And those words, kinda sting to Hawk. Later, the Sins decide to find King at the Capital of the Dead. Capital of the Dead arc. When they get close to the Capital of the Dead, inside the Boar Hat, Meliodas comments that King was like the pet of the 7 deadly sins, to which Hawk thought he was joking and wondered what kind of food-serving establishment would keep an animal inside, blissfully unaware of the irony in that statement. When the group is able to transfer to the Capital of the Dead, Hawk, ever being the master at reading the room, comments that it may be because of his memories of the leftovers he was never able to eat. Soon after, they encounter Gila, and Meliodas tells Hawk to take Elizabeth and run. With Elizabeth on his back, Hawk runs as fast as he can, and eventually he assumes that they've run far enough. But then Meliodas crashes into a nearby crystal, reminding them again that he told them to run. While running, Hawk and Elizabeth eventually meet King. There, Elizabeth sees King's spear and tries to take it in order to help them fight against Gila. Seeing her struggle, Hawk decides to help her pull the spear and to form the Hawk Knight of Legend. Eventually they're able to pull the spear, but it was because King decided to pull it out himself. Vaizel Fight Festival arc. After the Capital of the Dead event, King is then shocked to find out what the 7 deadly sins have done to their sacred treasures. Hawk then asks what the problem is, to which King reveals the difference between the sins with and without their weapons, which makes Hawk mad at Meliodas for selling his. The next day, Meliodas, King, Elizabeth, and Hawk head to a new town called Vaizel, where there's a fight festival being held, and the prize is Deanne's sacred treasure, Gideon. Hawk then follows Meliodas, King, and Bon, while Elizabeth and Deanne sit behind. While the guys enter the fight festival to win Deanne's weapon, Hawk decides to sell some mail to get some money for the Boar Hat. When Bon is defeated by Meliodas and sent flying, Hawk goes after him and carries him all the way back to the arena to see the rest of the fights. When it's eventually time for Deanne to fight, Deanne gives Hawk a tiny Elizabeth to watch over. Hawk is annoyed that nobody managed to find anything for Elizabeth to wear, so he makes her a little dress out of a ribbon. Cute. When the deadly sins start to threaten everyone to leave the place due to the Holy Knights Gila, Jericho, and Marmus coming to Vaizel to attack them, Meliodas orders Elizabeth and Hawk to go to a hiding place until the fight's over. After Meliodas and Bon are defeated by Gila and Jericho, King gives them over to Hawk and Elizabeth to watch over until he comes back. When Veronica finds Elizabeth, Meliodas is being sealed into the Goddess Amber. Hawk tries to help Elizabeth break free from the perfect shell Griamore made, but isn't strong enough. But when Gila and Jericho come to take Elizabeth away, Hawk tries everything to fight them off, but he's later beaten very easily and burned up. When Meliodas breaks free and starts attacking everyone, Hawk goes in front of Elizabeth to protect her from Meliodas until Meliodas leaves to fight Helbram. Elizabeth and Hawk watch in horror as Meliodas is defeated by Helbram. Bon grabs King and tells Elizabeth that he's taking her and King away from the fight. Elizabeth refuses to retreat and leave Meliodas behind, but Bon grabs Elizabeth and tells her that it's too dangerous to stick around. Later, Deanne finds Meliodas and ends up crushing Vaizel while Bon and the rest are running away. After Deanne saves Meliodas, Elizabeth and Hawk watch in shock what happened to Vaizel, to which Bon reaffirms that it was too dangerous for them to stick around. Hawk's wounds are later treated, and he heads with the rest of the squad to a new location. Armor Giant arc. Hawk, happy to have his wounds healed up, goes outside to train himself for the better, but soon gets upset. When he finds out that Elizabeth and Deanne woke up earlier than he did, and Bon and King were training harder than him, Hawk decides to head to the waterfall to meditate, but then finds Meliodas there, who reveals his true strength and slices a mountain in half, which shocks Hawk. Hawk looks after Elizabeth as she's sick, but then hears knocking downstairs, and as Elizabeth goes to answer, it's revealed to be Cain Barzad. Hawk tells Deanne about Cain until Elizabeth rushes out to give Meliodas Liz's sword. Later, when the Deadly Sins bring back an old member, Gother, they have a party to which Hawk chats with Gother. Gother wonders how he can talk, to which Hawk responds that he doesn't know. But when Gother asks why he eats leftovers, Hawk says, they taste good. Kingdom Infiltration Arc. As Meliodas explains the history of his broken sword in the ancient war, Hawk yells out that the seal is broken, but then reveals that he just has to poop. Before Hawk can, though, he asks Meliodas why they need Elizabeth, to which a mysterious Holy Knight appears and says that Elizabeth is the last key to open the demon realm. Then the Holy Knight teleports Elizabeth and Hawk by mistake. As they're teleported to Leonis, Elizabeth finds that Hawk was taken as well, and that Hawk still has to go to the toilet. Hawk smashes through the door, saying that he doesn't want his pride to be soiled before Elizabeth, though she does tell Hawk that there is a toilet in the jail. Elizabeth and Hawk then try to escape until one guard finds them. Elizabeth tells Hawk that they should hide, but Hawk attacks the guard head on, knocking him out cold. Elizabeth realizes that they're in an underground dungeon and calls out for her father and Margaret, and then hears Margaret's voice. As Elizabeth chats with Margaret, trying to set her free, the unknown female Holy Knight appears before them again and tries to stop the princesses from escaping. But Hawk uses his forbidden technique, Forget Meal, to stop the female Holy Knight through her blind spot. Hawk stands strong and claims to protect the princess no matter what, but the Holy Knight is enraged at Hawk and teleports him off to a dark location with a twisted horn behind him. As Hawk wanders around the room, he wonders where the other Deadly Sins are, thinking they're being useless. Hawk then decides to go save Elizabeth by himself until he hears footsteps and decides to hide inside the horn. Hawk finds out that it's Bon, and that the horn he's in is the Horn of Cernunnos, which allows people to speak with the Goddess clan. Bon requests the Goddess take his immortal life for a girl named Elaine to be revived. Bon then hears a voice and is shocked to see that it's Hawk. After Hawk explains to him how he ended up there, he suggests that they go save Elizabeth, but Bon tells him to go ahead without him. Bon thinks that there must be something he can do, and in that moment a voice speaks from the horn telling him that there is something he can do. The Goddess tells him that due to the ancient war, they lost their power and they'll need time to regain their physical forms. Bon is skeptical that the Goddess would so easily agree to take his life and bring Elaine back to life, but the Goddess tells him that she's not going to take his life, but will ask him to do a mission, and if he succeeds, then she'll bring the fairy back to life. Hawk tells him that this all sounds a little sus, but receives a double shut up from both Bon and the Goddess. Bon tells the Goddess that he'll do the mission. The mission is revealed that he must kill a man who right now goes by the name of Meliodas from the Seven Deadly Sins, which is a shock to Bon. When Bon and Hawk appear to them, Meliodas and Hawk agree to go rescue Elizabeth and ask Bon for help. However, Bon starts to attack Meliodas, to the latter's shock, as Bon rips Meliodas' arm off. As the two battle, Hawk tries to stop Bon by saying that they won't be friends anymore if he kills Meliodas, to which Bon responds that they weren't friends to begin with, which shocks Hawk. However, he tells Hawk that if he wants to stop him, then try, as he shows a sign that despite choosing Elaine, he doesn't want to kill Meliodas. Hawk then confronts Bon, asking him if he's really gonna do what the horn tells him to do, and is Meliodas not his friend? Bon tells Hawk that Meliodas is his greatest friend, but wants Elaine back. Upset at this, Hawk says that what if Elaine doesn't come back? He'll lose his friend, and even if it is true, Elaine might not be happy about this. Bon asks Hawk then what should he do, as when Elaine died he was depressed, but when he met the other Deadly Sins, he kept himself distracted, but he still knows that he's going to be alone forever, be it in this world or the next, saying that this world without her is like hell. Hawk doesn't understand, but Meliodas says that he does, but says that they should put their fight on hold until they solve the current matter as the Deadly Sins, which Bon says he understands. Meliodas then orders Hawk to carry him to Elizabeth's location, which is Merlin's old castle, while he sleeps on Hawk to regain his strength. Hawk gladly agrees and takes Meliodas to save Elizabeth. After arriving at Merlin's old castle, he's then ordered to take an injured Elizabeth to safety while his master battles Hendrickson. Hawk and Elizabeth are nearly hit by the Great Holy Knight's Hellblaze, but Deanne uses Gideon to save them. As all the Holy Knights of the Kingdom surround Merlin's old castle to prevent Hendrickson's escape, Hawk and Margaret remain at Elizabeth's side as she's given medical treatment by a Holy Knight with healing powers. When Hendrickson defeats the Deadly Sins with his new form and attacks the Holy Knights, Hawk tries his best to protect the healing Elizabeth as best he can until he gets knocked out. When Hendrickson is about to unleash his deadly attack, Dead End, upon the collapsed Meliodas and Elizabeth, Hawk runs in front of them, blocking the way for Dead End. Meliodas, Bon, and Elizabeth plead with Hawk to leave before Dead End hits him, but Hawk refuses, saying that if he knew he was going to die, he might have had his last leftovers and told everyone to, not die. Have some good last words. When Dead End hits, Hawk is struck by it, covering his whole body in a black matter. Hawk assumes that he's going to die, but survives due to his natural resistance against attacks such as this because of his body being able to survive the harsh environment of purgatory. His death angers the Sins and causes Elizabeth's powers to awaken. However, much time later, the black matter on Hawk starts to fade away and reveals him to be alive, but in a much smaller size as he shrunk, but everyone is overjoyed to have their friend back. Post-Kingdom Infiltration arc. The next day, during the award ceremony for the Deadly Sins and Hawk's effort for saving Leonis, Hawk somehow manages to regrow back to his normal size, possibly due to eating a lot of leftovers? At some point before the award ceremony, Hawk is given the Eye of Valor by Merlin, who then explains the functions behind it as the talking pig sees the power levels of the Holy Knights passing by. Hawk asks Merlin what his own power level is, and Merlin tells him that it's 3,000, much to Hawk's joy, and this kind of boosts his ego a little bit, not knowing that it's, a playful lie. When Doggetto of the Pleiades of the Azure Sky prepares to face Meliodas, Hawk reads out the power levels and boasts that his power level is greater than his. During the match between the Deadly Sin and the Star of the Azure Sky, Hawk witnesses Doggetto's quick speed in his punches and later tries to warn Meliodas to dodge another wave of punches, but is astonished when the Dragon Sin of Wrath easily defeats Doggetto and reads out his power level to be over 3,000. As the 6 stars leave, Hawk reads their power levels, snorting that they're nothing compared to his 3,000 power level, but Gowther destroys his ego when the Goat Sin of Lust reveals that he also has the functions of the Eye of Valor and tells Hawk that his true power level is 30, much to the talking pig's dismay, after reading Gowther's power level to be 3,100. His ego is further ruined when he reads out Deanne and Merlin's power levels. However, after reading Guilt Thunder, Griamore, and Hauser, Hawk's ego is restored when their power level is around 1,000. So, it's attainable to be as good as them, maybe. Albion arc. When Gowther tosses away his medicine from Merlin, Hawk ends up eating it, thinking it's leftovers, which leads to him having some strange behaviors, which reveals that the medicine was supposed to reduce Gowther's emotions and behavior. Once they trap Gowther in doll form and chat at the bar, Merlin soon teleports them to Camelot to battle against an Albion, and Hawk is stunned at the beast's power level, being close to Hendrickson's gray demon form. However, once Meliodas slays the beasts with his sacred treasure Lostvein, a demon of the Ten Commandments, Galand, appears and destroys most of Camelot. Merlin protects Hawk, Elizabeth, and Arthur by using Perfect Cube, and watches helplessly as the Deadly Sins are easily defeated and led to be killed by Galand, until it's revealed to be an illusion from Gowther. Istar arc. Hawk and the others are soon saddened about losing to Galand. However, Meliodas soon lifts everyone's spirits by stating to train more and get stronger with a strategy. Even Arthur and Elizabeth have to awake to their hidden powers as well, and Hawk believes that he's already unlocked his powers. However, the situation grows grim when Deanne loses her memories and leaves to go to Megadozer, and the group follows her but ends up getting attacked by Monspeet's Hellblaze, but luckily, Hawk Mama eats the Hellblaze with ease. The group then decides to go to Istar to start their training and regain Meliodas' strength back. While there, Hawk is used as a toy by one of the leaders of the Druids, Jenna. Hawk and the others go to the Cave of Training guided by Jenna, where they meet a wounded Hauser, Griamore, Guilt Thunder, and Hendrickson. As everyone decides to enter the cave to train, the group are paired up as Hawk is paired with Oslo, but they soon get lost in the cave and start freaking out. However, after his training, Hawk comes out of the cave with a new form, which the group even refuses to talk about, much to Hawk's dismay. Hawk reveals that he and Oslo encountered a tyrant dragon while training, and the dragon swallowed him whole. He then ate his way out of the dragon's belly and gained some of its abilities. After Meliodas regains his power that had been sealed by the Druids and has a brief confrontation with the Ten Commandments, Hawk reads his power level to be 3,250. Hawk doesn't understand how he can have a lower power level than the previous one, but Merlin points out that he lacked a 0 at the end, leaving Hawk stunned to discover his power level is actually 32,500. When Meliodas says that they must find Escanor, Hawk says that he's strong enough, leading Meliodas to reveal that Escanor is actually stronger than him. Great Fight Festival arc. Hawk is with Meliodas and the others from the Boar Hat when they decide to go to Vaizel, where the Ten Commandments organized a fight festival. When faced with a large labyrinth, all fall into trap holes and suddenly get separated. Hawk, partnering with Elizabeth, encounters Deanne, who lost her memories due to Gowther's power, Lost World, and was also separated from her companion Matrona. Not remembering, Deanne tries to cook and eat Hawk like she did when she met him. After following Deanne through the labyrinth, the three are attacked by a group of prankster imps who take the appearance of Meliodas, but are saved by Hauser and Guilt Thunder. Hawk is surprised and bitten by a small earth crawler that comes out of the ground. However, Hawk defends himself by devouring the entire creature and, to everyone's surprise, ends up transforming into a creature-like form, revealing the nature of his new magical power, Transpork. However, the group is attacked by a giant earthcrawler. Hawk manages to escape danger with the digging skills of his new form. When the Knights and Deanne manage to defeat the monster with the help of a mysterious wizard named Gilfrost, they all meet Meliodas, Bon, and Arthur and reach the end of the labyrinth. After being received by Droll and Gloxinia, all participants are separated into teams of 2 for the fight festival. Hawk is paired with Escanor and appointed to fight with Gowther and Jericho. Hawk feels confident of defeating them after reading their power levels. However, Escanor is scared and asks to withdraw from the competition, but the commandments don't allow it. When Gowther and Jericho argue about facing their comrades or not, Jericho tries to hit him just so Gowther knocks her out. Upset, Hawk tries to face Gowther, but he stops him easily and defeats him by stamping him into the ground. Upon awakening and finding Escanor unconscious after his attack, Hawk fearfully returns Gowther his glasses and discovers that Escanor had rendered Droll and Gloxinia incapacitated with his attack. After unleashing a battle between Meliodas and the 2 commandments, Hawk is taken along with all the other participants as hostages by Droll, encasing them in his giant hands of rock. Hawk insists that they should go to help Meliodas, but Bon reproaches him that they would only be a nuisance. Hawk is then teleported to Leonis with the rest by Gilfrost and watch the fight through his crystal ball. When Meliodas is finally overcome by all the 10 commandments at once, Hawk watches in pain as he's killed by Estarossa. Defensive Battle for Leonis arc. 1 month later, Hawk is with Elizabeth attending to the Boar Hat on the outskirts of Leonis. While they receive clients, they find an exhausted Golgius and save him by taking him to a room. Hawk reveals to know his identity even without his armor, as he remembers his smell. But Elizabeth tells him that although they're enemies, he must stay alive to find some hope. A while later, Elizabeth and Hawk are surprised at the bar by one of the participants of the fight festival, Silver, who to the surprise of both is revealed as the Great Holy Knight Zaratras. Hawk initially believes him to be an imposter to see his silly attitude, but Elizabeth confirms that it is Zaratras, and that it hasn't changed at all. After a conversation in which Hawk is irritated by the attitude of Zaratras, the two lead him to the dead body of Meliodas. There, Zaratras uses a druid spell to take him, Elizabeth, and Hawk to the memories of Meliodas. There, the 3 discover the past of Meliodas, with little Elizabeth, and that Meliodas can't die because of a kind of curse. Upon hearing about the invasion of the 10 Commandments in Leonis, Elizabeth decides to go help her family. On the way, the 3 are surprised by a horde of demons, but are quickly eliminated by Zaratras and Hawkmama. In that, Hawk accidentally eats a piece of meat from a red demon, transforming into a similar shape. When Monspeet and Derriere attack them, Hawk is sent flying by one of Derriere's blows while the 2 are confronted by a revived Meliodas. Hawk ends up falling outside the castle in the middle of the battle of Zaratras and Hendrickson against Frodrin. Frodrin picks up Hawk and is confused by his presence, and the pig throws his putrid breath onto his face, blinding him momentarily, giving Zaratras the opportunity to catch Frodrin and expel him from the body of Dreyfus. After returning to normal, Hawk is reunited with Elizabeth in the aftermath of the battle between Elizabeth and Frodrin. Hawk begins to cry, believing that his mother had been killed, but is happy when Hawkmama appears, healthy and safe. Corand arc. After saving Leonis and the meeting of all the 7 deadly sins, Hawk takes care of making a ceremony of the new and reconstructed Boar Hat that only Meliodas and Bon attend. That night, Hawk, along with Elizabeth, Elaine, and the Sins, attend the banquet at the Boar Hat. Hawk eats all the leftovers and is forced to drink by Bon, being amazed with the poem of Escanor. The next day, Hawk approaches Elizabeth after she heals Merlin. Seeing her cry, Hawk, forever unable to read a room, approaches her asking if something hurts, but Elizabeth simply tells him that she's happy. Hawk warns Meliodas and Bon that Elizabeth's been acting strange. After she said incoherent memories, Hawk discovers that her 2 eyes have the symbol of the goddesses, and then Elizabeth faints. Hawk and the Sins get worried around Elizabeth, and there Meliodas tells them with regret that Elizabeth will die in 3 days because she remembers the memories of her past life. Meliodas decides to tell everyone the truth about how he and the original goddess Elizabeth were cursed 3,000 years ago by the Demon King and the Supreme Deity, forcing them to an eternity in which he would live forever and she would eternally die and reincarnate as a human when recovering her memories, always perishing in front of Meliodas. Hawk cries disconsolately when he hears the story. After a stop in Ordan, Hawk comforts Deanne and Escanor when they blame themselves for Elizabeth's condition. After finally reaching Corand, Meliodas is tricked and captured by Melascula. Hawk accompanies the other Sins to the city in his search, where they face skeletons revived by the magic of Melascula. Hawk manages to deal with the weak skeletons until they're empowered by the energy of Meliodas. When Melascula appears, Hawk gets upset when he doesn't include him by naming everyone present. After Melascula catches Bon after assuming his giant snake shape, Hawk is shocked to read Elaine's power level by changing her appearance by 21,050. When Melascula is returned to her original little form by Elizabeth, Hawk mocks her. After witnessing the fight between Escanor and a Meliodas consumed by his demonic side, Hawk returns with all of them to the Boar Hat. Prelude to the New Holy War arc. While the trek to Camelot resumes, Hawke stays inside the Boar Hat next to Merlin, watching over Meliodas and Elizabeth inside the Perfect Cube. However, Hawke is alarmed when an old demon appears suddenly and manages to undo the Perfect Cube as if nothing happened. Hawke is taken out with Elizabeth and Meliodas by Deanne just after Chandler shows up to kill everyone and retrieve Meliodas. When Chandler prepares his meteor works, Gowther asks Hawke to help him rise into the sky. Hawke uses his monster block to transform into a sky manta and avoid the attack of Chandler, flying into the sky with Gowther and King, who prepare their combined technique, Celestial Arrow. After King is shot down after receiving Chandler's full counter, Gowther remains under the effects of the Absolute Order. While the other Sins face Chandler, Hawke tells Gowther that they must help him, but Gowther informs him that if he opposes the Absolute Order, he'll be destroyed. When Chandler seems to have defeated the Sins, Hawke jumps in and licks the hand in which Chandler had drawn the seal of the Absolute Order. Missing, Chandler sends Hawke flying in one blow, but this gives Elizabeth time to heal the Sins. After Chandler is apparently defeated by King's attack, Hawke punches his limp body several times. However, when Gowther's body writhes after having opposed the Absolute Order, Hawke is alarmed to see that the seal on Chandler's hand hadn't been erased. When Chandler recovers and assumes his true form, Hawke runs terrified along with his companions. When Chandler releases his power, Hawke is saved and sent back to the Boar Hat along with the other Sins by Droll and Gloxinia. While everyone fled the battle site, Hawke is beaten by the Dominion of Deanne after Hawke makes fun of her size. While cleaning up the disaster generated by the commotion, Hawke meets the test tube, where Grey Road was locked. When Chandler reaches them again, everyone leaves worried about Meliodas and Elizabeth. However, they end up encountering a Meliodas awake and Chandler kneeling before him. Meliodas claims that although he keeps his memories with them, the 7 deadly sins are officially dissolved, since he's decided to become the Demon King to break the curse of Elizabeth. Hawke faces him after becoming a tyrant dragon, claiming that he's the captain of the 7 deadly sins and the owner of the Boar Hat. Ignoring these words, Meliodas speaks to Hawke as if he were the Demon King, stating that he must have enjoyed watching him suffer. After this, Meliodas throws Hawke, who is caught by Bon. While everyone laments about what happened, Hawke mentions that Meliodas called him Demon King, believing that it's because he's as strong as the Demon King. However, Merlin discovers that Hawke is actually a conduit between the world of the living and purgatory, and that the Demon King has been watching Meliodas through the eyes of Hawke this whole time. Hawke is totally perplexed and incredulous to discover this. When Bon requests to be sent to Purgatory through Hawke to recover the emotions of Meliodas, Hawke asks Bon to return to make him his leftovers, and Bon tells him to not worry about that. When Zeldris appears in the Boar Hat, Hawke is terrified, asking Escanor to take his strong form, but he reminds them that he can't do it at night. However, Merlin decides to go out and negotiate with Zeldris on her own, revealing to all her identity as possessor of the blessings of the Demon King and the Supreme Deity. When Merlin goes to heaven with Zeldris, she leaves a magic plant in Hawke's nose so that his companions can hear their conversation. After rescuing the hostages of Camelot, Hawke and the Sins return to Leonis with Elizabeth, being very well received. There, the 4 archangels appear, having taken human bodies, and form an alliance with the kingdom of Leonis and the Sins. The next morning, Hawke accompanies Escanor shopping while he tries to convince him to ask Merlin for his feelings towards him, to which Hawke insists that he ask himself. There, Ludociel appears and attacks Escanor, claiming him as the thief of the grace of his late brother Mael. When Merlin gathers everyone to reveal that she's decided to go to Camelot to find Arthur herself, everyone is reluctant to put herself in such danger. Hawke asks why she would go so far to save Arthur, who hasn't awoken to his magic power. Merlin reveals that Arthur is the king chosen by the Holy Sword Excalibur to lead Britannia. Hawke asks if Arthur could beat Meliodas and the other demons with the sword, but it's clear that reality isn't so kind. After Merlin teleports and returns with an injured Arthur and Cath, Hawke is alarmed to see Cath wounded. However, when Arthur pierces his heart with Excalibur, everyone is horrified. New Holy War Arc. After the death of Arthur, Hawke tries to comfort Cath, but is intimidated by Cath's monstrous expression. While everyone is preparing for the Holy War, Hawke says that he'll help Elizabeth and Meliodas. He also asks his mother to stop him from destroying Britannia if things get out of control. When all go to battle, Hawke joins the Search and Destroy force, staying in the Boar Hat with Elizabeth and Gowther. While the rest of the group faces the Demon Clan army, Hawke accompanies Elizabeth while she convinces several of the demons to abandon the battle. Seeing the strange attitude of the Holy Knights, Hawke wonders if they ate something strange. When Elizabeth's actions are revealed to the rest of the forces, Hawke comments on how clumsy she was previously and how much she's changed only for her to fall down, which makes Hawke realize that the old Elizabeth is still definitely there. When Estarossa battles Sariel and Tarmiel, Hawk reads his level of power after absorbing the Commandment of Truth to be around 88,000. After Estarossa takes Elizabeth, King Sariel, Tarmiel, and Derriere decide to go after them. Gowther asks Hawk to help him follow them. Transforming into the Sky Manta, Hawk manages to reach them, asking Gowther on his back why he asked him so suddenly. On the way, Hawk asks Gowther about Estarossa, lending the doll to complain about his memories of him. After reaching the Heavens Theater, Hawk descends to the battle of King Sariel, Tarmiel, and Derriere against a warped Estarossa. When Estarossa begins to act strange, Hawk gets confused when Gowther declares that he'll sacrifice his life if necessary to bear his sin and that of its creator. When goddess wings emerge from the darkness of Estarossa, Hawk can't believe when Gowther confirms that Estarossa is actually Mael of the Four Archangels. As Mael unleashes his fury against Gowther, Hawk ends up buried under a pile of rubble. Upon emerging, Hawk finds an unconscious Elizabeth next to Derriere. Hawk remains with Elizabeth after she wakes up and watches her take charge of Derriere's dead body after she was killed by Mael. Hawk is alarmed to see the huge sphere of light that appears in heaven, explaining to Elizabeth that it's a cocoon in which Mael is using to assimilate the fourth commandment. The cocoon unleashes a rain of rays of light and darkness that destroys everything in the surrounding area. Gowther rushes to load an injured king with Hawk, asking him to take care of him while Elizabeth takes care of healing them. One of the rays does hit them all, but Gowther shields them by sacrificing one of his arms. While another one of the rays is absorbed by a portal that appears out of nowhere, Hawk recognizes the essence of Oslo, who emerges from the portal and takes Deanne out of his mouth. While Deanne protects them all, Hawk is surprised at how quickly it adapts to Gowther's knowledge of the situation they're facing. When Mael appears with a new transformation, Hawk is terrified to read his power level above 200,000. There, Mael releases his light ball of love, engulfing everyone in a big explosion and leaving them severely wounded. You know, by the love. Hawk wakes up from the impact to see King, Gowther, and Deanne fighting Mael with their combined technique. When Mael's about to eliminate them all with another Ji no Kogyoku, Oslo decides to sacrifice his life to save them, receiving the full attack. When King cries at the death of Oslo, wondering why he would do that, Hawk states in tears that it was to protect his beloved king. When Deanne uses Gideon's special technique to redirect the explosion of Mael's Ji no Kogyoku on the Earth, Hawk asks her why she had never used such a useful technique until then. Elizabeth explains that redirecting power ends up damaging the Earth and the creatures that inhabit it. When Deanne redirects a second one, Heaven's Theater breaks into pieces and all fall into the void. Transformed into Sky Manta, Hawk saves Gowther from his fall and intends to go for King. However, the rubble that falls doesn't allow him to reach him. After King and Gowther succeed in defeating and returning Mael to normalcy, Hawk decides to go with his companions to the final battle in Camelot. There, his nose begins to shine and it's revealed to be Bon returning from purgatory. While waiting for Elizabeth and Gowther to return from their talk with Mael, Hawk tells Deanne that they must have a lot to talk about. After the three return, Gowther rides Hawk to join in the way to Camelot. When it's revealed that the four commandments that Mael have expelled are reaching Camelot to be absorbed by Meliodas, Hawk asks Gowther if that's really so bad. To which Gowther affirms that, yeah, it is. When Escanor is defeated by the original demon and sent flying, Mael catches and saves him. Hawk and Deanne worry for Escanor's injuries, leading him to blame himself. When Escanor offers Mael to give back Sunshine to him, Hawk gets surprised to discover that Sunshine was originally Mael's grace. As Escanor tries to be a hero, Hawk points out that he can talk big despite being so small. Upon reaching Camelot, everyone protects Merlin so that she can complete the Chrono Coffin, which will leave Meliodas' cocoon suspended in time. When Zeldris starts to attack under desperation to stop Merlin, Hawk is protected by King, who uses True Pollen Garden to protect everyone. After Zeldris is defeated by Mael and the Chrono Coffin is completed, Hawk and the others celebrate the end of the Holy War. Hawk uses his monster block to turn into Tyrant Dragon and fly over Meliodas' cocoon, begging him to return to normal since everyone is worried about him. However, Hawk discovers that the cocoon is already empty as Meliodas has been revived as the Demon King. After being called a rare beast, Hawk and the others understand that the one they have in front of them is not Meliodas, but his father, the Demon King. Hawk states that if the Demon King is a father, then he should do something for his son, to which the Demon King is surprisingly compliant with and decides to break Elizabeth's curse. However, the Demon King reveals his intent to kill her in the most brutal way possible afterwards, making Hawk shake in fear. When the Demon King starts a fight with Mael, Deanne, and King, Hawk runs into Merlin's perfect cube, but being too far away, Merlin makes him his own perfect cube. As the Demon King moves on to kill Elizabeth, Hawk begins to provoke him and threaten him. The Demon King critically wounds Hawk, stating that the sight of him is aggravating, that he'll send Hawk to his brother. However, Hawk is snatched from his clutches by Bon, who promises to take the Demon King out of Meliodas' body. Bon tosses Hawk to the other Sins, asking to take care of him. While King uses True Pollen Garden to protect his friends from the Demon King's toxic storm, Elizabeth takes charge of healing him. Seeing Bond fight against the Demon King, Hawk encourages him to beat the Demon King to a pulp, but Deanne reminds him that he is in Meliodas' body. When Elizabeth and the Sins come back from Meliodas' spiritual world, Hawk asks them if they met Meliodas. Elizabeth then asks why doesn't he come in there with them. Demon King arc. With the defeat of the Demon King and the curses of Elizabeth and Meliodas destroyed, the Holy War finally ends. Hawk returns with the Sins to Leonis, where he hides in an alley eating garbage, as you do. Sounds like a normal Saturday night. Bond and Meliodas find him, asking what he's doing in a place like this. Hawk tries to convince them that he's another pig, but Meliodas says that there aren't any other talking pigs? Yeah, Hawk's not really the best liar. When Meliodas tells her that Elizabeth is worried about his way of acting, Hawk admits that he feels pathetic for not having been of any help during the Holy War and having to be saved by Bond and Elizabeth. Hawk acknowledges that somewhere he had already realized how weak he really was and that he didn't deserve to be with heroes like them. Bond and Meliodas comfort him by saying that despite knowing he's weak, he always puts his life in danger without hesitation to protect his friends, which is a testament of his bravery. A moved Hawk tries to hug them, but they avoid him because he's covered in garbage, snot, and tears. Even so, the two have brought him joy, and they sing the song that Wilde taught them in Purgatory. Hawk doesn't understand the meaning of the silly song, but also doesn't know why he can't stop crying when he hears it. The three of them then attend the party at the new Boar Hat, where Hawk is busy cleaning up all the leftovers. The day after the end of the Holy War, Hawk joins Elizabeth and the Sins in the Boar Hat on their journey to stocking up across Britannia. As they make up a picnic, the women wait while the men go for food in the forest. Escanor is chased by a giant bull, and Hawk tries to save him, but ends up in the same situation, forcing Gother to save them both. Hawk then accompanies his companions while they, relieve themselves together. Just bros being dudes. When Meliodas says they have to return, everyone worries about Meliodas keeping a secret. Bond tells Meliodas that they're not as fragile as he thinks they are, prompting him to reveal the truth that soon he's going to disappear from this world, something that everyone but Hawk was already beginning to suspect. Hawk demands that Meliodas say where he plans to go, and Meliodas says that he's going to go to the Demon Realm where he was born to be the first to establish a tavern there. Hawk reproaches him for leaving Elizabeth and asks him if he's even told her, but Meliodas says that he can't because he doesn't want to confront Elizabeth and make her so miserable. Hearing this, Hawk calls him an idiot. Upon returning to Leonis, Hawk goes with his friends to a meeting organized by King Bartra. There, he asks Meliodas to marry Elizabeth and become the king. Bartra ensures that Elizabeth will have no objection, but she says that she can't accept. Everyone is stunned when Elizabeth reveals that she plans to go to the Demon Realm with Meliodas. That night, Hawk walks in the middle of a snowfall singing his brother's song, feeling happy to do so. The next day, Hawk accompanies the Sins to dismiss Meliodas and Elizabeth at the entrance of the Demon Realm. Meliodas offers Hawk to go with them since he can survive in the Demon Realm. However, Hawk decides to go to Purgatory to see his birthplace and make a proper tomb for Wilde. After a farewell with Elizabeth, Hawk sees both of them going to the entrance, but before they can leave, a giant rock suddenly falls, seemingly crushing Elizabeth, to the horror of everyone present. However, Elizabeth is saved at the last second by Merlin, who teleported her to safety just in time. Merlin then uses Curse Discovery to reveal that Elizabeth's curse had been restored. Meliodas tries to destroy it once again, but as soon as he does, the curse regenerates again. Meliodas concludes that this is because as the curse was put there by the Demon King, it continues to exist because the Demon King is still alive. When everyone wonders how that's possible, given that the commandments have no vessel, Elizabeth and Meliodas conclude that Zeldris, the only one besides Meliodas capable of resisting the commandments, has become the vessel of the Demon King. Elizabeth and the Sins return to the Boar Hat to discuss the situation of the Demon King, still being alive. There, everyone feels that the entrance to the Demon Realm is being opened again to call in Endura. The other Sins ask Hawk and Escanor to report the situation to the King and the Great Holy Knights. After delivering the message, Hawk leaves Escanor to warn someone else. Hawk Mama is called by Hawk to warn her that the Demon King has returned. Hawk Mama tells Hawk that she is sleepy, to which Hawk doesn't understand. Hawk Mama cryptically says that the balance has been severely disrupted, and after a long time the King will be born. Believing that she's talking about the Demon King, Hawk tells her that he's already told her that and that he's come back and that she has to stop talking in her sleep. Hawk Mama then goes along with Hawk to the battlefield. Hawk says that they have to rush before everyone gets killed before its arrival. Hawk Mama then makes Hawk see the Demon King standing with a new gigantic and monstrous vessel created from the same land of Britannia. Frightened, Hawk asks her to turn back. When the Demon King is annihilated, Hawk gets engulfed in the resultant destruction. Hawk really gets, tossed around a lot. King of Chaos arc. When Merlin teleports the Sins and Elizabeth from Leonis to the remains of Lake Salisbury, Hawk is revealed to have stayed there along with his mother. He jumps over Meliodas and cries for them not coming back for him, to which Deanne apologizes, saying that they didn't even know he was there. Hawk explains that he came to help defeat the Demon King, but since the Demon King was defeated before he arrived, he sees no option but to return to Leonis. However, Hawk Mama doesn't move and stays in front of the floating water ball that used to be the lake. Hawk is annoyed hearing the strange voice that comes from the lake as Merlin starts with Arthur's awakening. Hawk then observes as Arthur is revived as the King of Chaos. A strange magic leaves Arthur and the surroundings suddenly transform into a bizarre and meaningless scenario. While the Sins are separated in that deformed reality, Elizabeth, Deanne, and Hawk remain in a single tower, wondering what's happening. Hawk questions what kind of hallucination this is, to which Gowther states that this is reality. Arthur then manages to calm down and reality returns to normal. Meliodas then asks Merlin what she did to Arthur and what she means by chaos. Merlin explains that chaos is a pure and at the same time impure power of darkness feared even by demons and light worshipped even by goddesses. A power so immense that it's believed that a single intention brought about the world and all races from nothingness, including the Demon King and the Supreme Deity. Merlin declares that Arthur commands chaos and that he is the king who will lead Britannia into a new world. Meliodas asks why she's awoken a power that's both a blessing and a curse and demands to know what her desire is. The voice from the lake asks to be allowed to explain instead of Merlin about the desire made by a single lonely witch who wandered the land in search of chaos. When Meliodas reproaches Merlin for using the 7 deadly sins to revive a being that may not even exist, the Lady of the Lake states that chaos exists and that they've already been face to face with it for a long time. When no one seems to understand, the Lady of the Lake reveals that they've been traveling on it all this time and it's been waiting for her resurrection, leaving everyone shocked that she refers to Hawk Mama. Hawk is reluctant to believe that and tells his mother to deny it. Nevertheless, Hawk Mama then deflates, with King revealing that she was never a pig but a shell made of multiple layers of moss. Merlin explains that the content, chaos, is now inside Arthur. From the moss comes a little chick that leaves Hawk confused. Arthur then has another episode altering reality without noticing it. When Kath shows itself happy to see Arthur, Kath then devours one of Arthur's arms. Hawk asks Kath what the hell they're doing as Kath transforms into a monstrous form. The Lady of the Lake tells them that they must retrieve the arm or they'll soon know how powerful even a fragment of chaos is. After Arthur defeats Kath, Merlin teleports Hawk, Elizabeth, and the other Sins back to Leonis. There, while everyone contemplates what to do, Hawk discovers that Escanor has died, getting pretty depressed about it. Epilogue Arc. After finally defeating Kath, Hawk meets in Leonis with Elizabeth and the Sins minus Merlin. There, they all say goodbye and go their separate ways, leaving Meliodas, Elizabeth, and Hawk alone. Meliodas asks Hawk if he'll dig for leftovers, to which Hawk is annoyed, stating that, as he had already said, he's going to go to Purgatory to make a grave for his brother. Elizabeth says that he's a kind soul, and there, Hawk says goodbye to the two, promising that this isn't goodbye forever. However, halfway, Hawk realizes that he doesn't know how to get to Purgatory. Wandering the streets of the kingdom, Hawk asks an absent-minded Merlin to send him to Purgatory, reminding her that they're fellow boars. Merlin somehow listens to him and fulfills his request, although she warns him that she won't be able to guarantee his return. Hawk is quickly overwhelmed by the extreme conditions of Purgatory, burning him, freezing him, and being unable to breathe. After wandering for some time, Hawk realizes he's going to die and asks Merlin if she can't cancel everything, but soon understands that she no longer listens to him. Hawk regrets that his brother's body is in that hell and screams, calling for him even though he knows that he's dead. There, Hawk collides with someone and rebukes him. However, this turns out to be none other than Wild. Initially confused by the similarity between the two, Wild calls him Mild, revealing that he's Hawk's brother. The two emotionally reunite in tears. Wild says that he's very happy to be able to see him before dying, to which Hawk reprimands him to talk about it when they've just found each other and asks him if he's sick. Wild tells him that the battle with the Demon King damaged his body so much that he only has 1,000,000 years left to live, but Hawk claims that that's plenty of time. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.